Welcome back to Market Day Report. I'm Scott Shellady. And boy, we've had a kind of a crazy day today. Outside markets affecting inside markets. And let's get to the markets just to see where we sit right now. Starting with corn. Let's jump in and take a look at that corn board. Brought to us by Bar Chart. Corn posting a gain right now. Now, this could be every 15 minutes this changes, but in this 15-minute segment, we're higher on the day by 2 cents in September at 5.58 even, and in December at 5.54 even. But just to give you an idea, we were about 13.5 cents higher on our highs at 5.67.5 in December early this morning, late last night. So give you an idea about where we've been and where we've come from. How about soybeans? Boy, they're taking it on the chin at the moment. 11 cents lower in the September at 13.95 even. And November, which had a 14 handle at some point today, is down at 13.82 3/4, which is 9 cents lower on the day than when we were up at 14.18 on our highs. So that's about a 36 cents reversal there. 8.5 cents lower in Novi beans. Why don't we take a look at Chicago wheat? Posting some gains here. December up 10 cents at 7.09 3/4, while the SEP is up 9 at 7.01.5. And even though we're up 10, we're about 7 cents off the highs there, so 17, 18 cents higher earlier today, but we've given back a large part of that. Why don't we take a look at hard red wheat in Kansas City, up 5.25 cents basically across the board the first 3 months. SEP is at 6.56 3/4, up 5.25. In December is at 6.67 1/4, up 5.25. Why don't we jump in and take one last look at spring wheat in Minneapolis? Again, higher on the day there. 8 cents higher in the D's at 9.13.5. Well, we're lucky enough to have with us today from Bubba Trading, Todd Horowitz. Todd and I go way back. Todd, I just checked. You're right. The Dow is down 840 some odd points. If you take a look at our charts from the things I just mentioned, just after 9 o'clock, we had a swoon. What are you talking to your customers about? Are you having to hold a lot of hands here, or are you just saying sit tight?
Well, I think it's tight, Scott. Listen, you know that this time of year is very light and very thin. So, small orders become big orders, and they can push markets around. I mean, this is like the fat lady is singing, and is the equity market done for now finally? We'll see. I got to give the grains a lot of credit, although they have sold off from their highs. I mean, we've seen pretty much wholesale selling in a lot of markets this morning, but the grains have held up remarkably well, with the wheat still higher, corn slightly higher at the moment. It could change before we get off, and of course soybeans have turned moderately lower, but nothing is that scary as we're seeing in some of the other markets.
And another thing I bring up, and we've talked about it, is these interest rate products obviously have cratered. These rates have just cratered. I mean, we've got the 10-year yield down around 1.2. I mean, there was a lot of talking heads earlier this year when we were talking about inflation and everything getting away from us, at that 10-year yield of being between 2 and 2.5, Todd. So this has kind of been an all-change market. Now, real quick, we only have about 30 seconds left. We've seen crude oil come off the boil. We've seen lumber come off the boil. I've been asking this to a few of our analysts here this morning. Do you feel like this coming off the boil trade has kind of moved into the grains, or are we just talking about what's been happening around us right now, and maybe we still have a chance to make new highs?
I think we still have a chance to make new high in the grains. I think that in the regular equities, it's come off, and you could see some very accelerated selling even later this afternoon. But I think the grains, again, are showing remarkably well, and I think that would be, I'd be looking for higher prices in the near future.
All right, well, you know what? That was a great answer. So because it was such a good answer, you're going to come back after this for the livestock segment. So we're going to go and pay some bills. We'll be right back after this with Todd Horowitz and Bubba Trading. Well, welcome back to Market Day Report. I'm Scott Shellady, and this has been a pretty interesting day. So I'm glad you're here with us. We've been lucky enough to have Todd Horowitz with us here as well, and I'm going to go over some of these livestock prices here, Todd, and I'll jump in if you see anything that you want to talk about. But when it comes to live cattle, they're off in sympathy again. $1.15 lower in the October at 124 spot 45, and $1.15 in December as well at 130 spot 17. Feeders again, they're going to be easier as well at $1.27 lower at 157.22, and $1.27 lower in the October at 159.20 even. And then lastly, let's talk about lean hogs real quick, Todd. lean hogs off $1.62 in the fronts, taking it on the chin there, close to the low of the day at 104.02, and October off $1.35 at 89.40. Todd, given what's been happening in the other markets, do you like these prices, or does anything bother you a little bit?
Well, I think they're doing remarkably well, you know, considering what's going on in equities. You know, typically they have a tendency to go in a similar direction in cases. I think feeders look solid. Fats are a little bit weak here, and, you know, I think that'll change. You know, I think the ag products are going to have a big second half of the year. And I think, you know, as we get more out, unless we have this big variant and end up with the, you know, back locked up again, you know, we can't predict that. Hogs are going to be under some pressure because, look, they've had a dramatic run. I think the 102 level is a key to watch. And if that breaks, I think you could see, you know, significantly lower prices. And certainly, typically, fat cattle and hogs are not usually this close in price. So there's a lot of reasons to believe that hogs have probably seen their better days for now. But, I mean, cattle should be fine. And overall, in agriculture, I think we're going to see better prices provided there's not another shutdown.
Well, you know, you talk about this, and I can't stay away from it. So you talk about another shutdown. We can't afford another shutdown, Todd. I mean, we don't have the money for it. I mean, we basically bankrupted ourselves.
I agree.
Paying for the last shutdown.
With you.
So I you know, anybody that thinks that that's an alternative, I think is really going down the wrong path. So my kind of investing mantra would be that, you know, I'm going to take a look at this stuff thinking that there's not going to be a shutdown. But I tell you what, that's for another show. That's for another couple hours. And maybe we'll have you back on and we'll make sure that we get through that kind of stuff then. But anyway, thanks very much, Todd. That's Todd Horowitz for Bubba Trading. Now I'm going to have to hand it back over to Tammy.